When you say there's a Romantasy-based readathon that's happening in February, I'm sat. I'm here. Say less. Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brie and this is 4 Paws in a Book. I am going to be participating in Romantasy-athon and I couldn't be happier. As you know, I am in my Romantasy era. We are having the best time. So if you're telling me that I can read Romantasy books for a whole week with other people that also love the genre, with other friends that feel the same way I do, also in their Romantasy era, honestly, say less. Because I'm already there. Romantasy-athon is happening February 15th through the 22nd, so a whole week of reading Romantasy. It's hosted by Tori from Tori Between Pages. She also has several other co-hosts that I'll have linked down below because everybody's going to be doing sprints throughout the week. It's going to be a great time. I'm also going to be closing out Romantasy-athon by attending Romantasy BookCon, which I feel like is just the icing on the cake, the cherry on top of the sundae. We are living our best Dragon Rider, Fae, warrior life. For this readathon, we are going to be attending the Starfall Ball. Now, it's not a real ball. We're not actually going to a ball. It's a readathon, but we're still going to have a fantastic time reading some great books. And so we have to collect a couple of things. We have to get ready for this ball, and that means we've got to read some books. So the first thing we need to do is we need to figure out what we're going to wear. Now, we don't know exactly what the prompt relates to. We will find that out as we go along, but we have 4 different choices that we can pick from, and that is a pink or white cover, a black cover, a green cover, or a red cover. Now, I can't make decisions, okay? I can't, I'm sorry. So I have 2 options for this, and that is for the red cover or the black cover. So the red one, and this is a little bit of a stretch because it's kind of orange too, but that is A Flame and Sparrow by S.M. Gaither. This is on my Kerplunk TBR, so like I would like to get it on there just so that I'm reading the books that I said I was going to read. But I am very excited about this one. This is a very political forward romantasy with gods and our main character having to fight the gods, and then, you know, the god of fire being attractive, I guess. She is convinced that the gods are responsible for her sister's disappearance, and so she is plotting her revenge. She's thrown into a world of divine courts, and she must navigate complicated politics, strange magic, and dangerous trials to prove herself worthy. This is the first book in a duology, and Romantasy duologies are probably my favorite. And when you think about the plot and the storyline and things like that, and I've been told I'm going to like this, so fingers crossed I will. So if I decide I want to have a red cover, then we'll go with this one. Now, if I want to go with a black cover, we have The Prince's Poisoned Vow by Haley Turner, and you're thinking, Brie, that's not really a black cover. This one is. This one's black. Okay, it's very black. This is the Bookish Box Special Edition. This is the one that I own, so we're gonna count it. Okay, plus it's got like a really cool lion on it. The original cover does too. This also has a revolution in it. It actually has 4 main characters, and this is a queer romance. I believe it is a male-male romance, or at least one of the pairings. I think this is more like epic. There is more than like one romance happening, but I don't really know because the synopsis is a little bit vague. It just kind of talks about the 4 main characters, which is the warden, the prince, the cog, and the princess. And this is a steampunk inspired romantasy. And if you have been on my channel for any length of time, you know that House of Bane and Blood is one of my favorite books of all time. I may have accidentally started another cult with it because I want everybody on the planet to read this book. It's fine, don't worry about it. That's also a steampunk romance. So maybe this will also like scratch that itch. And I believe that this author is going to Romantasy BookCon. I know she was originally, however, I've not really kept up to date with the dropouts and things like that, so I could be wrong, don't quote me on that, but it would be cool if I could read that prior to going out and seeing her potentially. All right, now I have to decide who to bring, and honestly, why choose? Maybe I'll do multiple in this category and really live out my why choose life. I don't know that I'm in my why choose era quite yet. I think I'm getting there, but I don't know. But maybe we'll just pretend. Listen, this readathon is a week long, and I have a TBR or a pile of possibilities as long as a CVS receipt, which, if you don't know, CVS is a pharmacy here in the States, and they print obnoxiously long receipts. Anyways, if you have to explain the joke, it's not that funny, Brie. So there are 4 possibilities here. So the first one is a new release. For this one, I'm going to be reading Wicked Pursuit by Katie Roberts. This is a little bit of a stretch because this is like not super romantasy. It's a little bit romantasy in the fact that like this is a made-up world and there's like a slight tinge of magic, but it's definitely more romance forward. And this is a little Red Riding Hood retelling, but like insert the mafia. I love Katie Robert. And this was part of a new series, the Black Rose Auction, that I got these special releases from. There's 6 stories altogether. So I could pick any one of them. But it's cool because it's like this on this side and then you flip it and it's somebody else's book. But anyway, so there's like 6 novellas in this, but I really want to read the Katie Robert one at least. So this is a great place to do that. If I wanted to read a backlist book, I could read Rule of the Aurora King by Nisha J. Tooley. This is the 2nd book in the Artifacts of the Oranos series, I believe. I own the whole series. There are 4 books in the series so far, and I own all of them, and I haven't read anything past the first book, and I probably should. So this is a great chance to do that. This is a really easy to read romantasy. The first one is kind of like The Bachelor meets the Hunger Games, where our main character has to compete to win the heart of the king, but then she kind of ends up finding out that she's more powerful and is badass and can do things on her own. Anyways, that's the first book. It continues on. I gave the first book 3 stars, but I've heard really good things about the books as they continue on, and they get better as they continue on. That's why I've held on to these series and I haven't like DNF'd it. I want to at least see how the 2nd book is. I can also read a sequel if I wanted to bring a sequel with me. For this, I'm going to be putting on Heat of the Everflame. This is the 3rd book in the Kindred's Curse saga, the most recent one. Pinnacle is another author that I'm going to be meeting at Romantasy Book Con. I'm actually going to be sitting in on a panel that she's going to be at least maybe 2 panels. I'm going to be going to the Barnes & Noble event that is the day after the convention, and so we will be able to see her, be able to talk to her, and yeah. Listen, I'm scared of this book because Burn is not out yet. And I know that Heat of the Everflame has a epic cliffhanger. And so I am afraid that I'm gonna read it, I'm gonna love it, and I'm gonna, you know, have to wait. I want to be in on it. I want to complete the series, catch up on the series. But this is also a very chunky book. However, it's on my Kerplunk TBR. So working smart, not hard. And then if I wanted to read a first book in a series, I have A Trial by Frost by Aveline Rivers. This book was gifted to me by the author, so I definitely want to get to it during the week of Romantasy-athon, but it does have a couple of different options where it will fit as far as this, but I could read that. The Noble Blood carries the gift of frost magic. Lady Ariana stares in disbelief as elemental fire magic bursts from her fingertips. This is a mentor-mentee relationship, which is always so much fun because the banter can really be fantastic. And it also says it's slow burn, enemies to lovers, which again, sounds great. Next up, we have to pick our background. Who are we as a character as we attend this Starfall Ball? I again have a couple of options for this, only because I don't know which one I want to read. The first one is a book with witches, and that I think I'm going to read Heartless Hunter by Kristen Cicerelli. Everyone is going to be reading Rebel Witch, which is the 2nd book in this series, and so if I don't get to this book prior to that coming out, I want to go ahead and start the series. I should have read this last year. I definitely should have stayed on top of things, but I didn't. It's fine. And then I kind of wanted to read it during BookTuber Favorites, but it never came up on the spinner wheel, so it's just been sitting there waiting for me to read it. And I know that everybody really loves it. It's YA, but I've heard that the banter is fantastic. The world building is supreme. It's about a witch and a witch hunter, and they have this like secret identity, and I think it's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be fantastic. But also there's a prompt about reading a book about vampires or with vampires, and so I could potentially read Songbird in the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent. This is the 3rd book in the Nyaxia series. It's like the 1st book in the new duology, and I really want to read this one sooner rather than later because there have been some middle of the road reviews. I still think I'm really going to love it. It has a lot of buzzwords for me, but I want to read it before like more mediocre reviews come out and I am like dissuaded by it. And then there's another option. It's not a book that I own, but it's a book that has been on a lot of like Kindle TBRs. It's also on my KU TBR if you want to check that out. And that's if I wanted to read a book with angel or demon. There is an omnibus series called Claimed by Lucifer, the 1st book being The Demon King. And this is very much inspired by the show Lucifer. So I definitely would like to read this, although I may end up pushing this one into March because it's an urban setting and I could read it for a lot of bonus points for Romathon. All right, now we have to pick our trope. Again, I have 2 options for this. There's no way that I'm gonna be able to read this many books in a week, but here we are. It's fine. The two that I am kind of sticking to are the love triangle, which, like, if you know me, you're like, oh, that's kind of weird. It's okay. It's okay. Or Fated Love. These actually both, I think, could fit with love triangle because I think they're both gonna be poly at some point in time. So the first one we have is Queen of the Blood Throne by Rhiannon Hargaden. This is the second book in the Descendants of the Fate series, the first one being Queens of Moirai, and that ended up being on my best books of the year in 2024. I read it the week between Christmas and New Year's. It snuck up there. I loved it. It's kind of like if Scythe was a romantasy, but a whole lot darker. This is like grim dark romantasy. Also, so is the other one, I guess. It's very dark, very, very triggering. Our main character is essentially the Grim Reaper. Essentially, her mother is the evil queen that has a zombie army. They have to fight her. The first book ended on a cliffhanger, as one does, and I am excited to continue the series. But if I really want a chunker, okay, if I want one that, like, is a lot of pages, we have Storms of Secrets and Sorrow by Melissa K. Rorick. I read Reign of Shadows and Endings last week as I'm filming this for my BookTuber Favorites video. And it had skyrocketed already to my best books of the year. It was my best book of January, like hands down. And this is the sequel. I have heard that the second one is poly, and so I am very excited about this one. My God, I love Theon. He is essentially like Nico Kingfisher level book boyfriend. We love him, okay? He's fantastic. He just wants to take care of Tessa, but Tessa is obstinate and difficult and, you know, wants to do her own thing and also has a lot of mental health issues and PTSD and things like that. I loved this one. Loved Reign of Shadows and Ending. I read it so fast over a weekend, and I feel like I could do that for the second one as well. Cassidy has also read Reign of Shadows and Endings, and her and I were texting quite a bit as I was reading it, and I was like, hey, you want to buddy read the second one if we get to it during Romantasy-athon? So there's a pretty good chance that I will be reading this for one prompt or another, maybe multiple prompts, as we go into Romantasy-athon. This is gonna get read that week. All right, now we have to get a weapon. You know, you never know what's gonna happen at the ball. These are, you know, troubled times, my friends. We may end up at, you know, a red wedding type of ball. I hope not. I hope not, for everyone's sake. But there are a couple of options for this. The first one is a favorite author. Listen, I've only read one of her books, but I could use this for that. I also could read The Last Daughter by Alexis L. Menard. This is the author of House of Fane and Blood, and this was actually her original duology. This is definitely inspired by Norse mythology. Vikings meet magic in this fresh retelling of Norse mythology. I haven't heard a ton about this one, but I received it as a gift for Christmas, and so I definitely want to read it. I want to read her whole backlist, and again, it's another duology. It'll be great to read. The other prompt that I am leaning towards is a friend recommendation, and so I was thinking I could read Woven by Gold by Elizabeth Helen. This is the second book in the Beast of the Briar series. Everyone had Bonded by Thorns and that series on their favorites list of 2024, and I read the first one back at the beginning of the year and then didn't continue it just because, like, nobody else was talking about it, and then everyone started talking about it about midway through the year, and then they all loved it and they all binged it, and I never continued on with the series, and so I definitely need to do that. So that's an option for this as well. Then we have a couple of bonus prompts. These are ones that, like, if they fit my other prompts, it'll work. I'm not going to pick a book specifically for it, perhaps. I don't think I have anything that is a one-word title, so that wouldn't work. An audiobook is another prompt. I will read a lot of these on audio, a lot of them. Anything that has an audiobook, I will probably read on audio. A book that you saw on socials, I don't have a book for that. However, a lot of people haven't put out their TBRs for this yet, and so, like, I feel like that counts if I see one on somebody's TBR. And then we have highly anticipated, and every single one of these, like this one, and this one, and Heat of the Everflame. All of those could be highly anticipated, so that any of those will work. So those are the books that I'm hoping to read for Romantasy-athon. Let me know if you are participating, if you are trying to attend the Starfall Ball, and a book that you will be trying to read during that week. If you're not feeling chatty, put a crown emoji down in the comments below. We gotta get our crowns. We gotta get ready for this ball. I will be vlogging this experience as well as Romantasy BookCon. I'm gonna kind of put them all into one vlog together, so stay tuned for that. And if you're new here and you have not yet subscribed, there's a little button that you can do so down below the video. If you'd like to hang out with me more, the links to my Instagram, Goodreads, Twitter, and my Patreon are linked in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!